Reputation management. I wanted to create a reputation for my business that would far extend any service that I could provide.
I'm your host, Taylor Ann Carpenter, and welcome to The Talk Chamber, a production of the Greater Memphis Chamber. The Talk Chamber is the podcast for the latest on the Chamber, economic development, and all things Memphis. Today's episode features Ayile Arnett, CEO of Arnett Logistics Group. Ayile, I'm so glad you're here to join me.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
So let's just start off, and you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how Arnett Logistics came to be.
Sure. So Arnett Logistics is 7 years old. We are whole second graders now. We have been in business here in the Memphis area providing logistics service. We're a logistics firm. We do several services in the Memphis area. ALG, as I like to call it, has basically come into fruition from my husband's dream, as well as the continuation of a business that I had started in 2017. My original plant in Memphis was through healthcare. So I have my undergrad and graduate degree in business administration with a focus on healthcare and statistics. And through that role, I learned that there was a logistics problem in Memphis that dealt with people at the time. And I built an app, did a lot of moving and shaking in Memphis. And at the end of that project, we decided that we wanted to pivot in solving a new logistics problem, which was the logistics of providing visibility in transportation management and package management. And so that's kind of how we came into fruition. It's always been my husband's dream. He's been in logistics for 20 years. Beyond myself, I've only been in for 7 years. But between the two of us, as well as our partners, we have over 40 years of logistics experience. So it's just been a nice little ride.
That's awesome. So where were you from originally?
I am actually from Wisconsin.
Okay.
I am from not Milwaukee, but Madison, Wisconsin. Everyone's from Milwaukee, but I'm from Madison. I spent my first 18 years there, and as soon as I could escape those winters, I did when I was 18, and I actually came to Tennessee State University in Nashville, and I met my husband. I joke about it all the time. I met my husband about 15 minutes after I got on campus, and we literally started dating, and here I am today. He's actually from Memphis. And so he's actually from the Whitehaven community. And so when we decided to come back after his father passed in 2012, we decided to come back, and we knew we wanted to start a business, and it's just that ALG was a natural fit for what we wanted to do.
Something that I found really interesting about Arnett Logistics is what y'all say is that you show integrity and investment in your community. So I was just wondering, could you explain that? How do you guys show integrity and investment in the community?
Absolutely. So that's a two-pronged question. So the first is, how do we show integrity? From the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to align myself with a platform that provided visibility and really just kind of the ability to show that we are a business worth working with. And that honestly was the Memphis Chamber from the very beginning. I think I was 2.5 years old when we decided to join and become members of the Chamber. I did a lot of research, and before the research, I had seen the things that the Chamber was doing all over the place. Other organizations that I'm affiliated with and people that I'm affiliated with, every single one of them were Memphis Chamber members. And I was like, yeah, if I'm going to grow this business and, be able to stand on 2 feet in this town, I need to be affiliated with somebody that will give me that reputation management. And so that's how I built integrity from day one. How we basically created our voice in Memphis and how we became intentional about basically making sure that we were giving back to the community is when we started our business. Again, I said my husband's from Whitehaven. When we started our business, we were very intentional about hiring people from the Whitehaven community. So if your zip code is 38116, you already have a leg up in the application process. And we're gonna consider your application because we wanted to impact economically, physically, emotionally, everything. We wanted to impact the Whitehaven community. And so when we decided to start our business, a lot of the roles go to people who come from that community so that we can directly give back to where my husband literally grew up.
That's awesome. And I I love that connection, and just I'm glad that you guys think it is so important to give back to that community directly. I mean, it's one thing to give back to the greater Memphis, which I know you guys do, but it's special to give back to a community that you have that personal connection, a little subset of a community.
Absolutely. I think looking at Memphis as a whole, I want to say last numbers that I saw was 4.4% unemployment. But in Memphis, or excuse me, in Whitehaven, that number is about 18%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so when you think about how you can economically stimulate a community, that's how you do it. You bring jobs that actually pay well. You bring jobs that actually force people to get out of their comfort zone and think bigger for their life. And so that's just what we're trying to do, in addition to growing the business and, of course, creating, a legacy for my own family. My hope is to continue to have folks from that area, participate in that growth and come up with us. So just real exciting.
That is. And why did you choose Memphis? I know your husband was from here. Was that the driving factor?
Yeah, absolutely. So we met in Nashville, and we lived in Nashville from the year 2000 until 2011 and a half. And we actually had 2 children in Nashville. And when my husband's father passed, we knew that we wanted to come back and be with his mom and his sister at the time, who was still was she still in high school? I can't even remember. But we knew that we wanted to come back and be here with her. Our intentions at the time weren't to become business owners. It was just really to come back and be of service to his mom and see what we can do. But, just Memphis being Memphis, it pushed us to be greater. It pushed us to, see what was available and to see how we could impact the community. And the natural fit, again, was just to kind of grow this business and see what we could do.
So what specifically attracts you as an individual to Memphis or makes you like being in Memphis?
The community, hands down. No matter what neighborhood you go to, no matter what event that you're at, you are always going to be 6 steps away from somebody that is amazing in Memphis. The Chamber, period, is how I stay connected to people that are change makers. I cannot tell you an event that I've ever been at where the Chamber has put it on where I have not had a chance to shake hands directly with people who are making immeasurable steps in Memphis. It's just amazing. I'm just floored by the people that the Chamber attracts to different, meetings and who they attract to be speakers. It's just amazing. So that's what continues to just attract me to Memphis, is just the community.
So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about your involvement with the Chamber. Mm-hmm. So you first got involved probably 5 years ago. Is that what you?
Just about. Mm-hmm.
What you said? Okay. And how did you get involved, and what was kind of your first introduction to the Chamber? Sure.
So I made the choice to become a member, and shortly thereafter, I don't remember how I met Miss Patricia. And Miss Patricia, I don't even have to say her last name. Everybody knows who she is.
Everybody knows Patricia.
Everybody knows who she is. So I can't remember if she reached out to me or if I reached out to her, but I got involved with the Small Business Council very, very early on. One of the first roles that I am so proud of having is a mentorship program. They were partnering with a local organization, that helps small businesses grow through like a mentorship partnership model. They partnered early business developers with people who were seasoned in business. And basically, I just met with a couple of young ladies on a weekly basis for a couple of weeks, well, actually a couple of months, and just gave them the tools that they needed to look at their business model a little bit differently, consider different avenues, think about how they're paying their people, so on and so forth. And some of those relationships I still have today. Like one of the young ladies, she actually reached out to me through email last week. So it's that has been that was I guess the very first thing that I did with the Chamber, and then I just continued to stay involved with the Small Business Council, which has been amazing. The Small Business Council, shouts out to Larry Robinson and Meredith Hennessy, and now Ms. Gwendolyn, who's stepping into that role. Shouts out to them for keeping the business community engaged and allowing a place and a space for business owners like me to have a voice that continues to amplify what Memphis is doing and how Memphis is great.
Yes, and am I correct that you are part of the think tank?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell us about that. What is that? What do you do?
Yeah, so the think tank is a group of small business owners that are that basically meet on a monthly basis to discuss different objectives. We discuss different things that are happening in the community. We get a chance to talk about what we're doing in our own business. We also get to share in some of the in some of the directions that Memphis is going. We get to provide, our insight as small business owners on, just several different topics. It's a great place just to hear what's going on and to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. And how did you first, how did you get introduced to the think tank? Was that Patricia again?
Absolutely. Yep. She knows all the places to put you. And she tells me where to go. And I say, when do I need to be there?
I know I've shouted her out on this podcast before, but another huge shout out to Patricia McKinney. She is an advocate for our small businesses and always excellent at getting them involved and helping them find their way to the chamber, which
absolutely,
I guess brings me to my next question. Why did you join in the first place? What even was the thought there?
Reputation management. I wanted to create a reputation for my business that would far extend any service that I could provide. Before you even look my company up, when you Google me, I want the chamber to be the first thing that you see and to show prospective clients that this company has taken the time to invest in their brand reputation. This company has taken the time to invest in figuring out how to keep Memphis on everyone's mind in the brightest spot possible.
Why is that important to your business?
I think when you're a small business like mine in the space that I'm in, so I always joke about this, there are 7,000 transportation and logistics firms per square inch in Memphis. And it makes sense because FedEx is here. There's a huge UPS presence. There's a huge DHL presence. I can't move pallets from Memphis to Accra, Ghana for $12 like FedEx can.
Right.
I don't have that same market share, but being a part of an organization and a platform like the Chamber shows that I'm playing on the same level. I have the same insurance as FedEx has. You want to ship a package from here to there? My insurance is just like theirs. But I can't walk into rooms with a FedEx brand. I'm Arnett Logistics Group. I'm tiny. But having an affiliation and a partnership with an organization like the Memphis Chamber is what brings me into conversations, because I am now affiliated and rubbing elbows with other people who may not be in my space, but they are connected to people who are in my space and they can vouch for me. My name can mean something before I introduce myself, and that's what the Chamber gives me.
That's awesome. There are, so many other things that we do and that people recognize us for, but you brought up a great point about brand reputation and how we're able to help you manage that and boost that through connections, through involvement, through our advocacy, our workforce development, all of our different avenues is all plays into that. And
absolutely,
it's really great to see that involvement. So when we're talking to other members, what would you tell a member about getting involved with the Chamber? Somebody who's maybe just gotten into, just signed up, but they're not really sure what to do. They're not fully in. Yeah.
So I think just being a self-proclaimed geek, I look at numbers all the time. I let numbers tell me stories. I let numbers help me figure out the direction that my company is going. The Memphis Chamber not only provides those numbers, but it also lets you become a part of the numbers that are influencing the direction of Memphis. When you look at, and I can't think of the name of the annual program that you guys provide that shows like what the impact was.
The annual report.
The annual report. That makes sense. That would be the name. But the annual report, if anyone is considering becoming a member or they're just becoming a member, look at the annual report and see what impact the Memphis Chamber has had and figure out how to plug yourself in those numbers. And even if it's not your space, I'm in logistics. There's a huge article in their section about hospitality. I draw inspiration from that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this many, companies were involved in trying to move Memphis forward, and look at all the things that they're doing in hospitality. Look at that report and figure out how to become part of those numbers, but also figure out where your space is in networking. So I'm an extrovert, and I'm married to an introvert. Oh my goodness, we are yin and yang. My husband is such a couch potato. He loves just being. We have 4 children, and he loves being at home and sitting up under his kids and watching TV and telling them all the things that they need because we are raising young adults, right? We're not raising kids, we're raising young adults. So he is very involved, as am I, but we are both very involved in our kids, and he just loves being at home. And what we have works really well because I love getting out there and participating in things. I'm the first one to say, sign me up for X, Y, and Z because I love drawing energy. This is giving me so much energy. I'm not going to need coffee at all for the rest of the day, even though I've been up for coming up on 17 hours, but I'm not going to need a drop later because I draw energy from being around people. And the Memphis Chamber puts on so many events and gives you so many opportunities to become involved with the things that are happening. Oh my goodness. It's just get yourself in networking spaces. Even if you're an introvert like my husband, he's a recovering introvert because I'm changing him daily. Get yourself involved. You never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to be able to celebrate as a friend, as a colleague later down the line.
Thank you. That's a wonderful answer. Before we move on, you said something that made me think of something, and I want to mention that.
Yeah.
So you were talking about numbers. Mm-hmm. And something that I really appreciate is numbers as well. I think they really help, make a case for whatever it is you're talking about or help, inform your decisions. Mm-hmm. We have the Greater Memphis Economic Research Group, GMERGE, who helps put out all of our reports, and they do industry reports. Yes. So we've got the logistics report. We've got a music report. We've got finance and HR. So we have all those reports online for our members and for really anybody to take a look at and discover more. And so that was just something I wanted to bring up because you mentioned how important numbers are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just fun fact, I have used GMERGE.
Yes.
So
tell us about that.
So we recently started doing business internationally because of the Memphis Chamber, because of the connections and the people that I have met over the years. We determined that going international was the next best step for our business. And so prior to going international, and I'm speaking specifically about the work that we did in Ghana, prior to deciding to move forward with that service line, I actually connected with someone, and I cannot remember the young lady's name, but she was like the version of me at GMERGE. She was amazing. She gave me all of the industry data that I was looking for, which was specific to the logistics, the movement of freight in and out of Memphis. I needed to know numbers. How much business are we doing with Ghana? What about the surrounding countries? She gave me everything. And I don't think I would have been able to make a calculated decision to move forward had I not had that data from GMERGE.
Congratulations on moving international. That's awesome.
Man, thank you. God is amazing. The chamber is amazing. I take no credit for this. This is just my life in a book, and I'm just reading and turning the pages, baby. That is it.
So, to business, what makes Memphis a good place to do business?
I think that your business is as successful as you want it to be, as you dream it to be in Memphis. There is no, equation that says if you do X and then you multiply it by 2 and add Y, there is no equation that says this is what your business outcome is going to be. You have to be that business owner that has their back against the wall 24 hours a day. One of the things that I shared at one of our think tank meetings recently was we give updates. And that's one of the fun parts about the meeting too. At the very end, Miss Patricia always says, okay, I want to know what everyone's up to. What's everybody's business doing? And so one of the things that I shared recently was that I'm having to become more involved in the physical operations of my business, just because the cost of doing business, the environment of doing business with just a lot of different factors is shifting. It's becoming a little bit more difficult to maintain the profit margin that we once saw 2-3 years ago. God help us when we had those tariffs on all those containers. Oh my goodness, our clients, it was a rough 2 and 3 months. It was pretty rough during that time. But I shared that I'm having to become more involved in the business where I thought that I would be able to kind of remove myself from the equation. And I think that understanding that you always have to be in grind mode, like I think the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm not a basketball person, so forgive me, Grizzlies fans, but I think it's like grit, grind.
Grit and grind.
Grit and grind.
Grit and
Yeah.
grind.
So I'm not in sports, but I'm taking that, and putting it and applying it into logistics and saying, I need to grit and grind. I need to hustle. I need to make sure that I'm doing everything needed to continue to move my business forward. And I'm so encouraged by other business owners that are also, deciding to continue and grow in Memphis. And I'm just drawing that encouragement and moving forward. And I think Memphis is the best place because the business community is so naturally intertwined with the personal and just regular community. You can't have a business in Memphis and not know people on a personal level. It's impossible. You can't be a part of the think tank and not know what's going on in their personal lives. I mean, it's such a wonderful kind of balance. And so that's what I continue to draw, encouragement from and just continue to choose Memphis as a business.
I think that's one of the things that makes Memphis special.
Yeah.
The grit and grind. The people in this city work hard at what they do because they want to see something accomplished. Not just because. It's because they have a goal and they want to get it done.
Absolutely.
But
have
then
to
also,
get it done.
Yes.
Have to.
Yes. But then, secondly, you can't do. It's harder to separate the business and the personal. But it's a beautiful, unique, special thing because, it allows us to be that tight-knit community. It allows us to have connections beyond our industries, beyond our smaller circles because we're all somehow connected.
Absolutely. And I just to bring Miss Patricia back into the conversation, I look at her as a sister too, because she and I are going through similar things with our parents. My dad, it's not funny, but when her father's in the hospital, mine's not. But when my father's in the hospital, hers isn't.
Oh, no.
It's just like every time I happen to call her and I happen to be with my father, she's like, oh yeah, my father's just not getting out of the hospital. And so I'm like, yeah, mine's just going back in. So it's like, you get to share and connect with people on a personal, deeper level. And I appreciate that. I thank God for giving me the opportunity to continue to connect with people that I might not have ever known had I not decided to start my business in Memphis.
Right. I mean, I call this the biggest small town you'll ever be in.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Even though we are a metropolitan area and we are a city.
Absolutely.
The way that we function and the people and the community that we have feels like a small town.
It does.
I pretty much don't go anywhere, even to the grocery store, without seeing somebody I know.
Exactly. And the thing is that you have to be intentional about how you move too. You have to decide that you're going to go on the other side of town and check out what's going on in Fraser. You got to figure out what's going on in Binghamton. What is happening downtown Memphis today?
Right.
You have to be intentional too. You need to get to know your city on a personal level, just like you would your children,
Definitely. So my last question for you today is, what advice would you give to business owners that are considering joining the chamber?
Oh my goodness. Do it. If you are listening to my voice and you get to the end of this podcast, if you have not looked up the Memphis Chamber, gone on to their website and figured out what the next steps are for becoming a member, you've wasted a lot of time. You need to do it. Becoming a member of the chamber, especially as a toddler business like I was very young, didn't have a large footprint, didn't have a lot of clients at the time. When I made the decision to become a member of the chamber, that absolutely changed the trajectory of my business. No doubt about it. I say I'm a numbers person. I could pull the data and show you the exponential growth that I experienced after becoming a member. Do it, and do it now.
Thank you, Ayile.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Talk Chamber. We are so glad you're here. Ayile shared so many insights on running a business in Memphis. She also shared that one of the primary reasons for joining the chamber was for reputation management. If you enjoyed this episode or learned a valuable piece of information, share this episode with a friend or a few. Subscribe to the Talk Chamber to keep up with the latest on the chamber, economic development, and all things Memphis. Follow us on social media at Memphis Chamber, and we'll see you next time.